Ever get yourself just thinking about, well, thinking?
Like, what's actually happening up there?
Yeah.
Well, get ready because today we are diving headfirst into that very question.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about an AI that, and I can't believe this is even a thing, claims it can actually think.
Really?
I know, right?
Mhm.
We're looking at this research paper. Bear with me here. It's called ChatGPT o1 AI model can reason and think much like a person.
Okay.
Sounds kind of jargony, I get it, but trust me, this is where it gets super interesting.
Okay.
Because right off the bat, they say this AI isn't just like mimicking us, they're saying it's actually reasoning.
Oh, that's different. Yeah.
Totally different ballgame than what we've seen before.
Huge difference. It's like, imagine, when a student's trying to solve a tricky math problem, like a less advanced AI. That's like the student who just memorized the formulas.
Right.
They plug in the numbers, get the answer, but they don't get the concept. Exactly. But ChatGPT. This is like the student who actually gets it.
So they can figure out a problem they've never even seen before.
Exactly. Because they understand the why, not just the how.
That is honestly kind of freaky.
And it gets even weirder, okay? So there's this whole section on the architecture of this AI, and apparently it uses these things called attention heads.
Attention heads.
Yeah, attention heads. Basically, it's how the AI processes information. And they say it's kind of like how our brains focus on certain things.
Interesting.
So what's the deal with these attention heads?
Well, it sounds like sci-fi, right?
What?
But it all comes back to how our own minds work. Like, think about when you're reading an article, right? Your brain just naturally picks out the important words, the phrases that give you the gist.
Yeah.
These attention heads, it's kind of similar. They allow ChatGPT to go through tons of data and just grab what's really important.
Okay, so it can find the good stuff, but then how does it actually make sense of it all?
Now that is where it gets really interesting
No.
because these attention heads, they're not just working alone, they're all connected, analyzing how different pieces of information relate to each other.
It's like building connections.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like our brains do when we're trying to understand something new.
Wow. So, okay, we've got this AI, and it can supposedly think like we do. But what does that actually look like in the real world?
Like, cut to the chase here. How does this impact me, you know?
Well, that's what's so cool about this paper.
They have a whole section on applications, and it gives us a peek into this future where ChatGPT isn't just some abstract idea. It's like actually part of our daily lives.
Okay, so how? Give me an example.
Take healthcare, right?
Right.
Imagine you wake up not feeling so hot, but instead of calling your doctor and waiting on hold forever, you just open up a chat window.
And it's ChatGPT.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
right there, ready to figure out what's wrong.
It can do that.
That's what they're saying. It can ask you about your symptoms, answer any questions you have, even schedule an appointment if you need to see the doctor.
Wow. That's actually super useful.
Mm.
But what about those times you do need to see a doctor in person?
Even then, ChatGPT can be a game changer. They talk about this in the paper, about using it for remote patient monitoring, especially for people with chronic conditions.
Interesting.
Like, say you have diabetes, right? Imagine ChatGPT's this, like, personal health assistant,
Always there.
24/7. It analyzes your blood sugar, sees any patterns, and can even give you personalized advice based on your medical history.
That's like peace of mind right there.
Exactly.
Okay. But as cool as all of this sounds, there's got to be a downside, right? There's no way it's all perfect.
Because I was reading the paper, and there's a whole section on limitations. What are those limitations? I gotta know.
You're right to be cautious. And the paper, to its credit, makes it clear. ChatGPT is not perfect.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things is that it can only be as good as the information it's trained on.
So, kind of like us.
Exactly. Think about it. If all ChatGPT knows is what it's read in medical textbooks,
Right. Yeah.
it's going to have a tough time diagnosing something that's super rare, or if someone's symptoms don't fit the usual pattern.
So, it could get things wrong.
It could. Actually, the paper mentions this case study where ChatGPT misdiagnosed a patient because it was missing some key information.
Okay, so it's not like ChatGPT is going to be replacing doctors tomorrow, right?
Right.
But it's definitely going to shake things up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just healthcare. This paper goes on, like future prospects. And it's like, bam, all these possibilities. Like, what if this could change how we learn in school, even how we work, like our jobs, everything?
It really makes you think, right?
Totally.
And that's one of the biggest things they talk about. How AI, like ChatGPT, could totally change, the whole job market thing.
Okay, so is this where robots take over and we're all out of a job? Because I've seen that movie.
It's not quite that dramatic.
Yeah.
But the paper does say we got to start thinking about some big changes coming.
Okay. Like what?
Well, as AI gets, smarter and smarter,
Yeah.
it could start doing a lot of the stuff that people do now.
Like what kind of stuff?
Think like data entry, dealing with customers, even some creative stuff, things AI could maybe do faster, better.
Okay, so what happens to all those people? That's a lot of people out of work, potentially.
You're right. It's a big concern.
Yeah.
And the paper knows that. But they also say, hey, this has kind of happened before.
What do you mean?
Like throughout history, right?
Mm-mm.
Whenever there's some new technology, it shapes things up.
Yeah.
Some jobs go away, but new ones pop up.
So it's not like us versus the robots. It's
Excellent.
about, like, we all got to adapt, right?
Exactly. The important thing is that we're ready. Like, we need to be learning new skills, getting the right training so we can thrive in this new, AI-powered world.
It's like learning the rules to a whole new game as you're playing.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot. We went from, like, inside an AI's brain to their entire future of, like, work, right?
Future of thinking.
It's mind-blowing. And
Right.
honestly, there's so much more to this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, tons.
If you're even a little bit curious, I mean, you got to check out this research paper.
Sure.
Until next time, keep those brains thinking.